welcome to another bit here on BizFit Formula. Today we are going to give a little introduction on stories and storytelling. So there are so many stories in your ecom biz and they are so important. People think in the start, they're like, I don't need to tell stories. I'm an ecom. It's my product. The product is the amazing thing. The pictures of my product will sell. The videos of my product will sell. But all of those things do come back to having stories in there. And we want to get started on a little story section going on. So there's actually 4 kinds of stories that go on in your ecom business. You ready for this? Number 1 is your story. Yes, the human. We're going to get into that. Number 2 is your brand's story. So what your brand is about, what your brand is doing in the world. You have product stories, which you probably see this mostly in like descriptions, social media, emails, any of that stuff will be more of your product stories. And then the 4th kind of story that goes on in your ecom business is your customer stories, also known as testimonials and case studies. So you have everything from you have everything from your product, and you have everything from your customer. And those things together make a really strong ecom brand that people are able to remember and talk about. And come on, word of mouth, be it physical or on social media digital, is one of the biggest keys to driving more traffic for your business. So we want to get in on stories. And today, for the first one, we are focusing on your story here. We're going to start with the person. Now, a lot of times you see these wrapped up, your story and brand story mixed together. There are little differences between them, but we're really starting in on you, the person. So before we get in on that, I want to focus in here and say, what is a story? A story revolves around either a conflict or a transformation, okay? And humans survive by storytelling. We grow by storytelling, whether we're telling the stories or receiving them. That is how human beings have actually evolved and still exist today, is through storytelling. So we have either a conflict or a transformation. Now, conflict, I'm going to straight up say, it can be really hard on your first try. When you think of conflict, you probably think of movies or books. They all revolve around some kind of conflict. It implies that there's a villain or that you're fighting against something. That can be a really hard space to put yourself in as a brand storyteller in the beginning. So we're going to focus on the other aspect, which is transformation. And transformation is all about discovery. All right. So your story revolves around a couple of questions here. And they go in from like, what took you from being a normal human being and going into business? What was the impetus? What was the thing that got you interested in your thing? We're going to go much deeper on this. But first, I want to say, and I want to let you know here, that you are actually a superhero. And that's a great thing, because we love superheroes. Why do we love superheroes? Because they showcase normal people who go through a transformation and then go on to do extraordinary things. This is true for all superheroes except Superman. Nobody likes Superman. Superman is exempt from this. We're not worried about him. But every other hero that you look at in main media, Marvel, DC, whatever franchise you want to talk about, whatever hero, even in real life that you're looking at, they are a normal person who goes through a transformation to go ahead and do extraordinary things. And then the last part of that is they stand for more themselves. So how does that translate to you? It goes on that the hero is a normal person, right? That's you. That's you. You're a normal person, right? I'm a normal person. That's the beginning part to our hero story here, our story. So normal person who goes through a transformation, that is discovering your thing, either your thing that you sell or the thing that drove you to go into business. So it's the discovery part right there. You go through a transformation, discovering your thing. And then they go on to do extraordinary things. So that is you actually doing your thing. So in step 2, we discovered it. We got an interest in it, whatever it is, be it pottery or soap or jewelry or clothing or textiles or art, personalization, whatever your business is. Something sparked you to be interested in it. And then you went ahead and you do it. That's doing extraordinary things. Not everyone on the planet can do what you do. You're a superhero, right? Okay. And the last part of it is they stand for more than themselves, which is you offering your thing out to the world. It can be purchased, right? So you are officially IW a superhero. All right. Why do we need to know all this? Why do we need to tell this? But we need these because your story, consider it as the backstory for your brand. Through here, and I'm going to give you 4 questions that you can do for homework to figure out your story. Every movie you watch, every book you read, the main character's got a backstory, right? This little story we're telling right here is the backstory to what your brand stands for. And we're going to be looking at your brand next week. So a brand, what's the difference here? A brand is a feeling. It can be a collection of stuff, but it's not a person, all right? People are what we connect to in stories. We don't connect to the weapon. We don't connect to the inanimate object. We connect to the people in our stories, right? So people are what start stories, and they're what start and drive brands or movements, okay? So let's take a look now at the person's story. Okay, so there are 4 questions I'm gonna give you, and they're gonna be in the description down below. So you guys don't have to, you can write them down, that's fantastic, but you don't have to worry about it. But there are 4 questions that make up your story. And honest to God, you can tell this story in 4 to 8 sentences easily, okay? And if you've taken my gift guide challenge, this might sound a little bit familiar. Now, before we get into the stories, I want to give you one note, one caveat here, all right? When you're looking at stories, there are physical reality, event-based stuff that happens in a story, and that's all the external stuff, all right? That's like if you were to outline a plot points A, B, and C, that's the external side of a story. And then there are the emotional things, or the internal part. That's how people feel and change. These 2 things are always happening at the same time in a story. But what we really want to focus on here when you come into these questions, yes, there's going to be facts and events that happen, but I really want you to try your hand at embracing the emotional or internal side, the vulnerability side. That part's a lot harder to get down on paper, to get down on the screen, because we don't like feeling vulnerable. We don't like feeling like we have weaknesses. And we definitely like telling people about our weaknesses. Like, how often do you have a horrible day and someone says, hey, how's your day going? You're like, oh, it's awesome. Life is great. No worries at all. And inside you just want to cry. Yeah, we don't like sharing our vulnerabilities, but this here is for a purpose. This here is for your brand and for selling. So you need to be able to access at least a little bit of that internal vulnerability and move it forward, because that's what people connect to. That's why we cheer for heroes in stories. That's why we cheer for heroes in the movies and the books, all right? It's their vulnerabilities, the emotional side, not the facts and list of plot events that's happening to them, all right? Okay. It's the internal stuff, remember, that makes you interesting and makes your customers care. And to say it another way, the facts, the plot side is basically a history textbook. And no one wants to read history textbooks. And I have a bachelor's in history. I still don't want to read history textbooks, okay? Good. All right. So the 4 questions for determining your personal story for your brand comes into number 1, who you were and what you were like before you discovered your thing. Okay, as we talk, remember I said this is the backstory to your brand. So this is before you were in business. So this might be you discovering that you were interested in business. This might be you discovering what you like to make that then went into a business. But whatever that first discovery, that first thing that got you interested, what you were like before that, as what we're going to call, quote, a normal human being who watches Netflix all day. Those people might not be heroes, unless they're making stories for Netflix. Okay, so number 1, who you were or what you were like before you discovered your thing. You might be able to guess. Question number 2 is, what is the thing? What sparked or ignited or triggered your passion, your discovery of this thing? Did you have a friend introduce it to you? Did you watch a video? There are so many books I read where the author is like, I was inspired by a late night infomercial. That's a trigger, that's an ignition, that's an action right there. That's a spark. My story for jewelry, I found a book in Joann's and I had a coupon. That's what got me started. I went shooting with my dad and was bummed because I missed everything. And I looked down on the ground and there was a casing sitting there. That was a triggering action. I have to put that with the bullet stories anyway. But something got you interested. Something got you out of your regular daily pattern, whether that was in school and you get up, you go to school, you do your homework, you go to bed. Something broke you out of that. Something got you interested. All right. So that's number 2. What sparked, ignited, or triggered your passion? Number 3, what kept you doing this? And this is where emotions come in. So emotions are in the what you were like before, and emotions come into what kept you going. All right. Plot point here can be the trigger, the action, the discovery part. But what was your emotions? What kept you doing this thing? All right. What did you like about it? What caught your curiosity on it? What did you want to prove about it? All these kinds of things. What kept you going on it? And then number 4, and this is what links it back to ecom. Why did you decide to make it a business? What made you go into business with it? Or what do you want to pass on or gift to your customers? And you're doing that through your business. All right. So you see this, we have a transformation arc in this story right here. Who you were before, what happened that got you interested in something, why you kept with it, and then why did you go forward to make it into a business? So all of those questions are linked down below. I hope that helped you. I am very excited to see you get started on your story journey and bringing stories to your ecom brand. You guys have questions, you have comments, you liked it, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and we will see you guys next week. We post videos weekly here on BizFit Formula. Thank you. Have a good one. Happy storytelling.